Welcome to the AtlantECO podcast, where we talk about the science behind the AtlantECO project, the Atlantic Ocean, and the human adventures experienced along the way. Here, we have conversations with guests from around the world who work together so that we can better understand, manage, and protect the ocean. So let's embark on the journey of AtlantECO and discover the world that lies above and beneath the surface of the beautiful Atlantic Ocean. Welcome back to the AtlantECO podcast, and in today's episode we are talking about citizen science. So this refers to scientific activities that are conducted by the public or amateurs and which contribute to collecting some data for research projects, for example. And to talk about this, my guest today is Anna Oddone, and she will tell us about the Sail for Science initiative, which is contributing to AtlantECO. So Anna, hi, and welcome to the AtlantECO podcast. I am excited to hear all about it.
Hi, Aloise. It's a pleasure to be part of the AtlantECO podcast.
So you might not know, but I think you do know because you've listened to a few episodes before coming on the show. So we like to start each episode by getting to know our guests and to understand how your connection with the ocean started, and maybe you could also walk us through your journey and how your different decisions in life have led you to where you are today doing what you do.
Well, I would say that I never really thought about working on ocean topics. So I would say the ocean found its way in my life despite myself. I am a scientist and I did my PhD in molecular biology at the MBL in Heidelberg. And what happened is that after defending my PhD, I took a couple of months off to decide what to do next. And because I was missing nature and I was missing manual work and physical activity, I went to volunteer for a French sailing school called Le Glénan. And I think I found in sailing and in the sea all those parts of me that were neglected during my PhD. So when I came back to EMBL, I went straight to Eric Carcenti's office because I knew he was a passionate sailor and a passionate scientist, and because I needed to talk sailing with someone. He explained to me that he was setting up a scientific collaboration with a boat called Tara. And I would say that's where it all started, really. So a few years later, when Tara came to Barcelona in 2019 for a stopover, I jumped in and helped with the organization of the stopover. And there I met Colomban de Vargas and started getting involved with the Plankton Planet initiative. And it's funny in a way because I still remember the day that I was at the MBL and someone came to give a seminar on diatoms. I don't remember now who she was. She was someone from the Anton Doorn station in Naples. But I remember looking at the pictures of diatoms and thinking with a touch of sadness, wow, it's crazy how beautiful these things are. In my next scientific life, I want to work on diatoms. And here I am, collaborating with experts in diatoms. So today I work at different projects within the Plankton Planet initiative. And in particular, I manage the subtask of AtlantECO that deals with the Sail for Science.
It's interesting that you managed to bring in your next life into your current life. Not many of us managed to do that. So, yeah, we're here today to talk about citizen science, and you mentioned Plankton Planet. And through that, we are doing the Sail for Science initiative in AtlantECO. So can you tell us about what it is, why it is important for science to do these sort of things, and how it works in practice as well?
Well, as you said, the Sail for Science initiative is the part that deals with citizen science. And at the heart of the Sail for Science is indeed Plankton Planet, this international collaboration whose goal is to involve citizens in the collection of data about the ocean microbiome. So it all started after the Tara Ocean expedition that took place in 2009-2012. In that expedition, Tara sailed around the world for 2 years collecting data on the microbiome in more than 200 spots around the planet. And it was the first time that such a systematic study of plankton was done using exactly the same protocols around the world. And the expedition brought to light an incredibly rich picture of the planktonic microbiome, So millions of new genes were found and thousands of new species. But the problem is that plankton is a very dynamic ecosystem. And so in order to understand how it changes with time and also with climate changes and with human activities, we need to keep monitoring it over a long period of time. So we will need basically hundreds of data sailing on the ocean every day, collecting data everywhere. And this is simply not possible because oceanographic vessels are too few and they're very expensive. So they're used for cutting edge research, not for monitoring. On the other hand, every day there are thousands of boats sailing on the oceans for other reasons. So commercial vessels, military vessels, recreational boats. So we thought, why not asking them to help us with the data collection? And this is how the Plankton Planet initiative started. So we decided to develop simple, low-cost, and robust instruments that can be deployed on boats and can be used by non-scientists to collect scientific data on the ocean microbiome around the world. The data collected will be then deposited on databases that are open to everyone, meaning that every scientist in the world will be able to access the data and use them for their own studies. You see, to make accurate mathematical models to understand and predict the ocean, we need very high spatial and very high temporal resolutions, which means a lot of data points. And the citizen science approach can be the solution here. So I know that nowadays citizen science is clearly trendy, but Plankton Planet started almost 10 years ago because in the case of plankton, citizen science can really make the difference.
Yeah, and it's a great initiative to take the opportunity to use resources that are already out there on the ocean anyway, and that can really contribute to the gaps that we face in the data. You know, we can't cover, as you say, the entire ocean with very expensive expeditions that are just collecting data. So it's a great initiative. And if we talk about AtlantECO specifically, there are some specific routes or activities that are taking place. And can you tell us how these are contributing to the project? So starting with what activities these are, what people are doing for the project, and how they are contributing to our objectives, really.
So in the framework of AtlantECO, we would like to show that planktonauts, which is basically how we call the sailors that collect data for us, can contribute to the overall scientific project. So to this end, we have been developing and testing different instruments to be deployed on sailing boats. And there are mainly 3 instruments. So the high-speed net, which is a plankton net that can be used on sailing boats that sail at normal cruising speeds, so basically up to 8 knots, opposite to the classical plankton net that can only be used when the boat stops or very, very low speeds. And then a Lamprey DNA kit, which is used to filter the seawater on a membrane and collect the plankton present in the water on this membrane. And then you dry the membrane and send it to the different laboratories for genomic analysis. And for the anecdote, we have previously asked planktonauts to dry these membranes on a frying pan because DNA is very robust once it's dry, and they found it very amusing. And now we are developing a more sophisticated way of drying these membranes. And then finally, we have developed the PlanktoScope, which is a semi-automated microscope with a 3D system that can be used for quantitative imaging of plankton. So we are not only interested in who is there, which is something that we can easily find with the genomics, but we also want to see what the different types of plankton look like. I mean, the morphology, because even the same species can be larger or smaller or more colorful depending on the environmental state. So we want images of plankton as well. Plus, this was one of the requirements from the very first test that we did with planktonauts. One of the things that they asked us was to be able to see plankton. So not only collect it on the filters, but also see the beauty of it. So we developed the Curiosity, which is a microscope more for looking at plankton and for outreach. And then we developed the PlanktoScope, which we will deploy on the planktonauts boats. And this is more for quantitative imaging of plankton. It's a semi-automated microscope that takes thousands of images of a concentrated seawater sample. And then all those images are segmented. meaning that the software can separate the empty parts of the image from the parts of the image where a plankton is. And all these segmented images of plankton are then sent on a database that is called EcoTaxa that was developed in Villefranche-sur-Mer. And the database uses artificial intelligence to recognize automatically the different types of plankton. So in the first phase of AtlantECO, we have developed and tested these instruments on board of Tara. And indeed, we could show that they can provide the same results as the standard instruments used for plankton imaging by scientists. So we were very happy. And then we have also used this test to see where the instruments were failing, because of course there were many things in which they were not working, and improve the prototypes. In the second phase, we have been taking advantage of all the experts that are in the AtlantECO network to independently test our instruments and give us feedback. And now the idea is to finally deploy the instruments on board of sailing boats. So we will prepare a set of protocols and manuals together with these kits of instruments and train dozens of planktonauts to use these instruments. And we will ask them, first of all, to collect data with them, and then also to give us feedback on their usability. So basically, while the oceanographic vessels involved in AtlantECO will carry out their research, the Sail for Science initiative will implement in parallel a lighter, simpler version of the AtlantECO protocols. And then it will be interesting to compare these results with the results obtained on the standard oceanographic vessels. And we are really thrilled and we are looking forward to the outcome of this deployment.
So can you already, have you already recruited some planktonauts? Do you know where they're going to sample and where this adventure is going to take us? And if we can follow them along the way or something like that?
Yeah, actually, that would be a very cool idea. We should think about something along that line. So yes, we have recruited now all the planktonauts that will be involved in the Sail for Science. The main route will be the North Atlantic route that goes from Europe to the Caribbean, because that's a standard route for sailing boats. But then we will have also a couple of routes in the southeast of the Atlantic, especially from Cape Town to Europe and vice versa. But yes, we have already recruited the planktonauts that will take part into the research. And we get actually many requests on the planktonplanet.org website for collaborating, showing that there is a huge interest from the citizen side and from the sailor side to get involved into scientific projects. I think people who sail in general have a very healthy relationship to nature. They are looking for it. And so as soon as they find some initiatives that can help them understand and see better the ocean on which they sail, they're really motivated and want to be part of it. So we get a lot of requests. And indeed, people who are interested in joining the initiative, they can go on the planktonplanet.org website, and there is a form that they can fill to sign up. But I should say that currently we are not taking new planktonauts until we will have the results from Sail for Science in AtlantECO. So this will be our first set of experiments. And this is also because on one side, all our energies are taken by AtlantECO, and on the other side by another project that is called Bougainville Mission, which is a collaboration with the French Navy, in which we will deploy our instruments on board military vessels in the Indian and Pacific Ocean. So on board these vessels, we'll have master students from La Sorbonne, who for 1 year will be studying the microbiome in those regions with our kit, with our instruments. And they will exchange with the Navy sailors to show them the beauty present in the regions where they sail. So this will start in September this year. So all our energies are taken by those two projects. But anyway, people who are interested in general, they can get in touch with us and become part of the association, Citizens of Plankton Planet. And then the idea is really to create a community of people who can participate not only by collecting data, but also by contributing with ideas and other knowledge to the development of the project.
Yeah, it sounds amazing, and it'll be great to kind of see where those people are going. I think we should talk about how do we follow those people, how do we follow their journey and where they are, and maybe they can send us pictures.
Yes.
And share along the way what they are finding out. And as you say, those people that are sailing, they can see most of the things that people think about when they think about the ocean. waves and the big fish and all these kind of things. But what this initiative enables them to see is the invisible, what you can't see without those instruments. So I think that's beautiful, because it's adding a layer of information that without those kind of programs, then you wouldn't necessarily know about or even see.
There is an incredibly rich life underneath the surface of the ocean that you would never imagine until you can grasp a microscope and really look at the invisible life. And it's just a jungle of beauty.
Yeah, so as I said, it would be great to follow them along the journey and see what they find out for us. Obviously, it would take a long time. The samples will be collected, but then the data will take a while to get analyzed and added into those databases, etc., and make their way into our findings in AtlantECO. So that will take a while, but in the meantime, hopefully we can get some nice pictures from the sea and follow along with the planktonauts. So I think for today, that's it. Our conversation is coming to an end. So I have to really thank you for taking the time for explaining to us what these initiatives are and how people can get involved if they want in the future. Not right now, but later on. And thank you so much again, Anna.
Thank you very much to you, Elise.
We hope that you've enjoyed today's episode and look forward to seeing you next time. You can follow the AtlantECO project on our website on www.atlanteco.eu, and you can also find us on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook. All the links and information on the project and on today's episode is in the show notes. AtlantECO is a project funded under Horizon 2020, a European Union research and innovation programme.